Alright, we are loading up the game right now, and as I mentioned, this is going to be between Blossom and Gemini. Blossom playing as the blue Zerg here, spawning at the 3 o'clock position, and our light blue Protoss. Once again, Gemini playing up at the top. He is at the 1 o'clock position. And Metalopolis, a very, very good map for Zerg players, especially if you spawn across from each other like this. If you both spawn on the same kind of half circle here, or semicircle, it's a little bit more difficult, especially after you get that first base, because when you're going for the third base, if you go for either of these two bases in the middle, it's quite close to your opponent. But if you go for a base on the other side of the map, it's kind of difficult to defend because it's so far away. So that dynamic can be a little bit troublesome to deal with as a Zerg player on this map. But when you're spawning on cross positions where you are far apart from each other like this, it is very, very easy to get a good macro game going, because you have a lot of expansions available to you that aren't going to be pressured immediately from the main of the Protoss player. And it looks like Gemini is going to get spotted by Blossom right away, as he is close by air, so that Overlord going to get some super quick early scouting. He's not going to have to send a drone out anytime really soon, because of course in order to take that Overlord down, he's going to have to get a gateway and a cyber core before he's able to actually get anything that can shoot the air. But here comes the Forge. Actually looks like he might try to do a cannon rush of sorts, possibly walling off the center, or off the ramp here. We've seen some players, Protoss players, do this, where they'll wall off and put a cannon or two behind it, prevents the Zerg from getting that fast expansion up and running. But another thing that it does is it lets the Protoss have a little bit of map control before they have a whole lot of units out. But it looks like Blossom went for a straight 6 pull here, and is sending Zerglings out straight away. And there is going to be a very quick wall off here from our Protoss player Gemini. He is going to be able to get that wall up very, very quickly. More Zerglings coming out from Blossom, but I don't know if this is going to be able to do anything. This one probe just continuing to pound away on the spawning pool here. But one Zergling coming back to go and take care of that. And it looks like Blossom going to try to break in here. There is a cannon warping in behind that. And that Overlord going down would be bad if he does not move that out of the way. And here comes the Forge going down to about half health, but I don't think he's going to get it before these cannons warp in. And here comes some more probes to help defend against this. Is he going to get the Forge? Oh, he's going to get it, but he's going to have to back off. So he does force the Protoss player to go into a Forge. He had to cut a lot of probes to get that up so quickly. So overall, Blossom actually not too terribly far behind, although it looks like Blossom needs to make a lot of drones, and there we go. Seeing the drones come out right now. If we look on the income, we can see that Blossom is only 1 Harvester behind right now. So despite going that super early aggressive 6 pull, Blossom is actually right on par economically with the Protoss player. And although the Protoss player does have a Forge and some cannons out, those Forge and cannons not going to be used at all for map control, obviously, because they cannot move. So it looks like Gemini going to be stuck in his base for quite a while here until he can actually afford to take down any of these buildings and let himself out of his own base. So we'll see how long it takes him to do that. I would imagine that we'll see Blossom drone up pretty heavy here and possibly go for a semi-quick expansion. The first assimilator just now going down for Gemini. He is also getting his cybernetics core up and running. Possibly going to go for some kind of a Stargate rush now that he is trapped inside of his base. Of course, getting that air out, it feels pretty safe when you have your front walled off like that and have cannons behind it. So we'll see if he's able to do something along those lines. Of course, if Blossom just continues to crank out queens, Blossom should be in a pretty good position here, although it looks like Blossom getting a pretty good stack of resources sitting there, and going to go for roaches instead. So very interesting decision here from Blossom. Going to go ahead and try to get that roach out and possibly break down that entrance. We're seeing a very low econ game right now, although a bunch more drones hatching right now, and it looks like Blossom actually is still 1 Harvester behind, but doing a pretty good job of keeping up. And here comes another gateway, so apparently not going to try to get out any kind of a Stargate tech, just going to go straight for the standard gateway play. And meanwhile, there are still 6 Zerglings sitting out in front of the ramp for Gemini right now. Blossom's just going to keep an eye on what Gemini's doing and make sure that he doesn't move out of his map anytime soon, out on the map anytime soon. So we'll see if he's actually able to do anything with this very, very interesting one-base play. One-base play as Zerg is typically a pretty bad idea. So I'm not sure exactly what Blossom is thinking here, but that 6 pull into this interesting roach build is going to be very, very strange, a little bit awkward. So we'll see how it works out. Some roaches coming out right now. Of course, Roach is not super great against cannons, especially when there's a wall up there, but we'll see if he's able to do something with it. He is going to move up. He's going to have to move up the ramp with Zerglings, and one thing he can do is if he moves some of the Roaches over onto the low ground here, or even if he uses this Overlord to spot for him, he should be able to pick off one of these cannons just by sitting on the low ground. And it looks like Gemini taking down his cannons. Oh, this could be disastrous timing if he takes the cannons down as the Roaches get there, because he only has one Sentry and one Zealot to defend against it. But no, he is going to see it before he moves in there, and he's still attacking. No, he did just finally stop, and getting pretty good placement on the units there. Although here comes some Stalkers, he is going to be able to hold off this push. The Roach push not going to be effective, but meanwhile Blossom is expanding behind it, finally getting that extra hatchery up and running, and there is another Queen just in case there is some kind of Stargate play coming. So very solid play from Blossom, recovering from this pretty well, and Gemini just realizing that he is actually trapped in his base still. The Stalkers cannot get through this very, very narrow corridor. Only the Sentry and the Zealot can fit through here, so he's going to have to kill his Forge as well. So very unfortunate building placement for Gemini in his frantic defense, trying to hold off that 6-pull. He unfortunately placed his buildings in some ill-advised positions, which left him in a very difficult situation for getting out of his base. He had to take down a pylon, a cannon, and a forge. So wasting a lot of minerals, taking all those buildings out, and he is going to have to rebuild that forge for the third time, I think. So pretty interesting there, but it looks like Blossom actually now pulling in the lead on the harvester count, although it just went back down. Made me a liar. He is pulling even, getting that extra extractor up and going to go ahead and Maynard some drones out to the expansion here. Meanwhile, Gemini looks like is going to be moving out on the map, although not getting an expansion behind it, at least not yet. So we'll see if he tries to expand behind this pressure. This is going to be a pretty interesting attack. If this is held off from Blossom, Gemini may be in a pretty bad situation, because he has not expanded yet. The Zerg is getting up a very solid expansion right now, and the Zerg upgrades are, let's see what the upgrades are looking like right now. 0-0 for the Roaches and 0-0 for the Zerglings. Meanwhile, Gemini only with 0-0-0 for his Protoss units as well, so not getting a whole lot going on here as far as upgrades going as of yet. Of course, I guess that could be somewhat expected for a weird game like this, and not all the units coming out here for Blossom right now. There are 3 Queens, so possibly going to be using some transfer